Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the seventh in a series of webinars that North East Water is presenting as part of our price submission engagement process on master planning and growth. And today's webinar is focusing on part of the Moira Shire that North East Water service. Basically, we service the east half of Moira Shire, which includes the towns of Yarrawonga, Bundalong, Tungamah and St James. And today, the presentation will be run by myself, Guy Wilson-Brown, as General Manager of Planning and Infrastructure. We'll also be joined by Jill Fagan, Manager of Planning and Livability, Morgan Courtney, our Capital Program Manager, and Tim Golan, our Manager of Assets and Development. So welcome everyone. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land and waterways on which we operate, and we pay our respect to all elders past, present and emerging. Today is a webinar that is being recorded, but we will have a Q&A function. So you can, at the top of your screen, if you open up your Q&A function, you'll be able to post any questions as we go. And when we get to the end of our presentation, we'll deal with those Q&A questions. It's not an interactive session, but if you would like, interactive dialogue, we're certainly happy to meet with any customers. So it's just a matter of letting us know. Our webinars that we've done to date, as I say, this is the seventh in a series of 8. So all other 6 are available on our website. And just a reminder that as this is being recorded, you won't be able to turn on your cameras or your microphones. So welcome. A little bit about North East Water. So there's our region, as you can see in terms of the Moira Shire. It's Yarrawonga, Tungamah, St James, Devonish and Gurunmat are the towns that we service in the Moira Shire. We take on the whole of the North East region, as shown by that map, which is a population of about 120,000 people. Our main headquarters are here in Wodonga, and obviously we've got other larger towns, such as Wangaratta, Yakandanda as well, and we go all the way down to the south to Harriettville and across to the east in Corrion. We have $1.6 billion worth of assets that we have to maintain and upgrade, and that includes 21 water treatment plants and 22 wastewater treatment plants and about 3,000 kilometres of pipes that connect all those systems together. We have one of the lowest water bills in Victoria, so certainly price affordability is a key issue for us as we go through the price submission engagement process. And we're pleased to report that following an independent survey, we have very high customer satisfaction of 94%, and that's based on a survey of 2,000 customers. And finally, I'd like to highlight that we employ over 200 local employees. Our priority focus, water security, quality, ensuring that everyone in our service area has secure and safe drinking water is our absolute #1 priority, closely followed by ensuring that our recycled wastewater meets with environmental compliance and health regulations. Circular economy, climate adaptation and moving towards zero waste emissions is another important focus for us. By 2025, i.e. next year, we will have 100% renewable electricity. So all our wastewater treatment plants and water treatment plants are run by electricity, and that includes significant investment in solar energy, as well as capturing biogas to run generators for electricity as well, which is a key project that we're doing at our Wodonga wastewater treatment plant. Dealing with and responding to state government housing growth targets is another important focus for us as well. Naturally aging infrastructure, we're at a bit of a renewal spike, so that's a significant investment. We've had to increase our renewal expenditure for that $1.6 billion worth of assets that I mentioned previously. Engaging with our community and key stakeholders is also another really important focus for us as we do that as part of our price submission process. The next price submission is a 5-year period that starts mid-2026 and will go to 2031. A little bit about our most important strategy. This is our Apex strategy, Strategy 2040. This guides everything we do, and particularly our capital investment program. This has been recently adopted by the board following a 12-month engagement process. It's based around 3 pillars or ambitions, as we call them: healthy environment, thriving communities, and prosperous region. Certainly what we're talking about today in terms of our master planning and capital investment is around the economy and supporting a prosperous region, particularly in terms of urban growth. But we've had feedback from a number of our key stake owners, particularly traditional owners as well, including our Aboriginal delegates that provide advice directly to our board that without a healthy environment, you don't have a thriving community or a prosperous region. So ensuring that everything we do is net nature positive, has a net positive impact on the environment is a really, really important priority for us. We deliver those ambitions through 3 key enablers: people, partnerships, and innovation. And particularly when we look at partnerships, part of what we're doing today is engaging with our major customers, trade, waste owners, industry, and government agencies as well. Setting the context for our master planning. So our overall infrastructure planning, prioritisation and investment features 15 master plans for our 15 major townships. And those master plans are pretty much all complete. And we are, as part of this process, presenting the results of those master plans to the community. The projects that fall out of the master planning are not necessarily funded, so we have to prioritise those because we've got limited funds available. So we have a prioritisation framework that's based around those triple bottom line, those 3 pillars that you saw previously under Strategy 2040. We are increasing our level of investment significantly. So our current price period is an 8-year price period. It's got 2 years to run. At the start of that price period, we forecast $141 million worth of expenditure over that 8-year period. We're now going to be spending about $350 million. So we've really increased our investment to respond to those challenges I mentioned before, particularly catering for growth and existing infrastructure and dealing with climate change. Engagement with councils and developers and their consultants continues to be a focus. We've just held our 3rd development forum in the last year or so. That was held on the 21st of November. And all this will feed into a deliberate forum in March as part of our 2026 price submission engagement process. So I'd now like to hand over to Jill, who's going to talk to us a little bit about our master plans. Thanks, Jill.
Good afternoon, everyone. So master plans are our water and wastewater infrastructure plans for the next 50 years. They developed for each town experiencing growth. So Guy mentioned that we service 39 different towns across our region. About 15 of them are growing, and they're the focus of our master plans. They are based on council's growth forecasts. Council is the growth planning authority, so we've worked closely with each of the councils in our areas to understand what developments have already been approved, as well as where growth in the future is forecasted to occur and when. And then we work out what infrastructure we need to service that growth. We've considered multiple benefits in these master plans, including opportunities for circular economy, integrated water management, reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, building resilience, and of course maintaining financial resilience, which is important. There's a disclaimer down the bottom of the slide there. It basically says that these are plans for the future, which are subject to various factors, including council's planning and rezoning decisions, as well as North East Water's regulatory price determination, where we have to submit our proposed investments to the Essential Services Commission, and they review and make a decision on pricing for us. So moving on, the important message here is that master plans are not the same as our capital plan, and this tells you how the two are linked. So we start off with the master plans, which identify the infrastructure requirements to support compliance, environmental compliance, as well as public health or drinking water quality compliance, renewal of our existing assets to make sure we maintain good services to our current customers, and growth-related infrastructure to support new housing and new business. So if we laid out all of those 15 master plans side by side and added up the costs, it's too much for us to afford in a short period. So we need to stage our investments. So we go through that second step, which is a capital projects prioritisation. We use a multi-criteria assessment to inform the order of investment. The intention is that we are working out the projects of maximum benefit to the community and those ones progress earlier. In our multi-criteria assessment, we look at strategy and innovation, risk, the condition of the existing system, infrastructure and operations. We look at social and community factors, environmental factors, drinking water quality, and financial factors. And each of the projects gets a score, and they are sorted by score, and the ones with the highest score get built earlier, and the ones with lower scores will still get built, but at a later stage. We are currently in step 3, which is the price submission engagement, where we are consulting with our customers and stakeholders on what you particularly value and care about in the region, and that further informs our investment priorities for the pricing period that starts from mid-2026 onwards for the following 5 years. And then we write a big submission to the Essential Services Commission, which is that last step, and they assess our proposed investments, considering whether they are prudent and efficient, and then they make a decision on their customer tariffs from 2026 onwards, which is what we can charge you for water and wastewater. I'm going to hand over to Tim now to talk a little bit about how we're supporting growth in the region.
Thanks very much, Jill, and good afternoon, everybody. Yes, as Jill and Guy have both touched on, supporting growth is a key focus for North East Water. Our master plan growth forecasts are in line with the state government's housing targets for growth in regional areas. We know that there's some 425,000 new homes that are going to be required in regional Victoria until 2051. And bringing that down a level to the local government areas that North East Water services, that's around 31,200 new homes in our service area by 2051, and we are committed to delivering or doing our part to deliver on that. We have a $350 million plus investment in our current price period, which has been referred to, including $90 million this year alone. In some of our key towns, including Yarrawonga in this case, we have more than 3 years of housing growth already approved for construction. And I guess the last point on this slide that I'll make quickly is just that our customers do expect us to be prudent and efficient in how we prioritise, and that includes the drivers such as growth. And Jill has already spoken about that prioritisation process. The next slide that I just want to quickly touch on is just putting some numbers around those housing targets. We've got Moira Shire highlighted there in blue. There are 4,300 new homes that make up the target for Moira Shire. We've got a little asterisk next to Moira Shire there purely because it's the one out of the 7 local government areas that we only service, or North East Water only services part of. But we know that obviously the main centre of Yarrawonga is taking a significant amount of that growth. And the next column across, working left to right, is just an average. So that target of 4,300 equates to an average of 159 new homes per year. And we know that over the last 5 years, our records indicate that we've approved, through statement of compliance being issued, 177 on average per year. I'm going to hand over to Morgan, who's going to take us through a little bit more information about what's proposed.
Yeah, thanks, Tim, and afternoon, everyone. On the page there, you can see an aerial image of Yarrawonga. Within that, then there's 2 colour tones. One is for medium term and one is for long term, as per the legend on the bottom right-hand corner. Medium term is that navy colour, and long term is that purple shade. It's fairly self-explanatory from our end here. You can see a lot of the areas that are within that kind of navy are already under some sort of development plan or approved plan of subdivision. So these are areas that are here and now going to happen within the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, up to 10 years potentially, and everything after that is in line with the existing forecasts between ourselves and council are beyond that time frame. That's not to say that those areas can't be serviced, but when we're developing items around our capital program, we have to make certain assumptions around timing, and therefore these assumptions, which are reasonable, would lead to that development of the capital program and the development of those servicing strategies. Yeah, next slide there, please, Eddie. We have a different kind of legend and map here for this one, because what we're trying to highlight is just probably two of the smaller towns, Bundalong and Tungama. Bundalong, as an example, has experienced a high level of growth. For me to demonstrate that same sort of graphic in this, it would just be a large triangle across Bundalong, and probably would be very difficult for people to understand or read. But every there, we again have a timing. But all that, essentially, if you looked at an aerial image of Bundalong, will be almost look like an infill development and the further subdividing of larger blocks. On the right of the screen, then there is Tungama, and similar, just small little pockets of areas that have been forecasted to potentially be developed. Yep, next slide, please, Eddie. So for all these things, it leads to certain levels of assumptions we have coming through the prioritization process, and it pumps out what we have here on the left, which is the future projects, and this is what we're forecasting within the next 10 years. Again, as Guy was referring to earlier on, it is all in a draft, as this is part of the engagement process to build this future capital program, which is through this price period. And if you look on the other side, just giving an example of the works that we completed during the last 5 years or so of this price period, the Yarrawonga water pump station, the Yarrawonga water treatment plant. It might look a bit funny to some to say that you're looking at a Yarrawonga water treatment plant now and in the future, but that's actually quite reasonable for us, because it demonstrates a continual level of investment. So if you look at it, the Yarrawonga treatment plant water treatment plant upgrade. 10 years later, we're doing a water treatment plant renewal and UV installation, and some of that is triggered by compliance, but also will be age of infrastructure, heavy maintenance, and that reliability of services is what you're actually looking for there. The Moira Estate sewer was actually upsizing just to accommodate additional and future capacity for a rising main installed during the construction of that subdivision. The South Road pump station, again, is some works we're doing down there right now currently. Various projects and various renewals all add up to that $6.5 million mark odd. Yeah, if you want to roll on to the next one there, please, Eddie. And just to give you an idea of what something we're forecasting to do for the Yarrawonga sewer hub, and as you can see on the screen, we do have a servicing strategy from a sewer point of view for all of Yarrawonga, looking onto that future horizon too, and that's those areas in purple. But what we have is a nomination of the Yarrawonga sewer hub, which is a fairly alternative to anyone that would have been engaging with us, say, a year ago. At that point in time, we probably had a vision of a single large pump station on the eastern side of town, which would have had like 14 kilometers of rising main discharging into the wastewater treatment plant itself. So all that stuff comes at a very significant capital cost. So what we've proposed now within this price period, or the future price period, sorry, is to construct what we're calling the Yarrawonga sewage hub. There are other related things here as well, which, as we're making a system change, we have to do some other augmentations here. But essentially what it is a storage vessel that's at our old wastewater treatment plant, and the idea of that storage vessel is it would buffer flows during high demand periods or wet weather, and it would allow us to utilize as much of our existing infrastructure as possible. Once we have that constructed with some other investment as we go forward, it would have the capability then to accommodate all those areas that are what we would call existing or in that navy blue color. And then as you go on, then you would also be able to expand that facility to accommodate the areas that are probably in that light blue and purple going forward. Yeah, that's it for me. I'll hand you back to Jill.
Thank you, Morgan. So today we're focused on the Moira Shire. If you'd like to know more about other master plans in the North East Water Service areas, you can have a look into these webinars. We've got one remaining live webinar to present. That's for rural city of Wangaratta on the 19th of December. We've already delivered a master planning overview webinar, as well as specific webinars for Wodonga, Indigo, Towong, Alpine and Benalla, which you are able to find on our website, and you can view the recordings. So if you want to do that, you go to North East Water Have Your Say page. You'll see that regional master planning program tile, which is in the red circle on the right there. You click in there and you'll be able to access all the recordings, as well as sign up for the Wangaratta webinar if that's what you'd like to do. We're also keen to hear from you about what you think about our capital investment priorities and what you care most about for your region. You've got two options to provide feedback. One of them is to click on the Q&A at the top of your screen and drop a question or a comment in the chat there, and we will answer your questions now. The other option is to go into that regional master planning program tile and scroll down, and there's an opportunity to provide feedback through that. If you'd also like, as Guy mentioned, to have a chat to us, one of our staff, about more information about what you've heard, also contact us. You can email us, or you can put it in that feedback form online and we will get in touch with you. Now I'm going to hand back to Tim for our Q&A session.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you, Morgan, as well. Just a reminder that you can type your questions in using the Q&A functionality in the presentation. But I do have some questions here that I'm going to start with. And the first one is, how did you take on board, or how did North East Water take on board input from customers and stakeholders into our master planning? Jill.
Thanks, Tim. So I mentioned in the talk that we've consulted extensively with local government, so the Growth Planning Authority, to ensure that the growth projections behind our master plans reflect not only current approved development plans, but also Council's own growth strategy and priorities. That's one way. We've also sought input into our future planning via our Regional Leaders Forum, which we held. We invited CEOs and senior executives from across our region, which included people from industry, from business, from First Nations groups, local government, as well as the North East Catchment Management Authority. And we specifically asked them what they sought from North East Water in how we partner to deliver value to our customers and community. Additionally, we also conduct regular customer surveys to understand what our customers value from us, how they think we're delivering, and we have regular conversations with developers and other business and community organisations in the region. So we've kind of pulled all that information from multiple sources and used that to inform our master planning. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Jill. The next question is, how will I know when the development of new infrastructure in my town will start? I think this one's very much in your wheelhouse, Morgan.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So to answer that, we maintain a 5-year capital expenditure program. And that can be accessed through our corporate plan or through state budget papers. These programs are refreshed every year and published every year. The investment from 26-27 for the following 5 years are subject to the price submission, and that's what this engagement is for, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're currently underway with. That also is contingent on some economic modelling review by the board and in the Essential Service Commission. By probably mid-2026, we will have a decision from our price regulator, and we'll be able to provide a lot more certainty around what that capital program would look like for the following 5 years. Thanks.
Thanks, Morgan. Another question here, what will all this new infrastructure cost me as a customer? Perhaps Jill, you might like to have a go at that.
Yeah, sure. So North East Water is committed to maintaining affordable bills for our customers. We also levelise our prices over time, which means that you as a customer would experience gradual bill increases rather than step changes. However, North East Water does have the second lowest bill in Victoria of all the water corporations, and we've had 15 years of fairly flat prices. We cannot sustain that to pay for the amount of infrastructure we need to invest in at this point. So we will be seeking price rises above CPI in our next 5-year price period. And to fund the infrastructure over the last 8-year price period, we have had to undertake significant borrowings to be able to fund that. Guy mentioned at the start that we were priced for 141 million in that 8-year price period, but we've ended up spending about 350 million because of all the essential infrastructure that we needed to put in place. So as part of our price submission engagement, we've recently consulted our customers on what they're willing to pay for water and wastewater services. And we also had this online bill simulator, which asked 4 questions from our customers and gave them an understanding of the impact on the bill that would have for these different questions. And so the input that we've got from all of that, those surveys and customers, is going to inform our remaining price submission engagement and our price submission itself. So this consultation is part of what the Essential Services Commission reviews as well, to make sure that any price rises that we are putting forward is in line with what our customers and community will support. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. The next question is, how do you bring environmental protection and biodiversity measures into your master plans? Jill, I think this will be you as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, look, we've heard from quite a few of our customers that many of them would like us to invest in environmental protection, including supporting waterway health. Now, North East Water isn't the catchment manager that looks after the waterways. That's actually North East Catchment Management Authority, but we work closely with them to deliver outcomes to our communities. So in the master plans, when we develop the infrastructure servicing for a new growth area, we actually look at multiple different infrastructure solutions that could service that, and we go through a multi-criteria assessment to determine what's the preferred option. So those criteria include environmental impact and integrated water management in particular. And integrated water management is things like constructed wetlands or providing purified recycled water for the irrigation of public open space, sporting fields, parks and gardens, that kind of stuff. So there's a couple of different ways in which we support, I guess, environmental protection and biodiversity through our work. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Jill. That brings to a close the questions that I've seen. I'll just give a final call out to anyone in my team if there are any other questions that they have seen come through on the chat. But I think that's the end of that. And if there are no other questions from our audience, I will hand the presentation back to Guy to wrap up.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Our 7th in our 8th series webinar on master planning for Moira Shire is drawing to a conclusion. So I'd really like to thank Jill, Morgan and Tim for their presentations today. As you can see from the screen there, we encourage your further feedback, or if you need further information, please go to the Have Your Say webpage on North East Water's website. Your feedback is really important to us. And particularly, we would like your feedback now, if that's possible. There's a QR code on your screen, which will take you to a very short survey on how you found today's webinar. We'd really encourage you to do that now. If not, we will be sending an email with a link to the survey to all those that have attended today. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that attended today. We hope you found this informative. Please jump on our website and see our previous webinars, and we've got one upcoming webinar in the series to go on the 9th of December on Wangaratta. But I particularly draw your attention to the webinar on overall master planning, which provides a bit more context for what you've heard today. So thanks everyone for attending. Have a fantastic day, and we hope to see you soon. See you later.